welcome back to my channel. Today I want to teach you all about how I learned to regulate my nervous system and how regulating my nervous system has truly impacted and changed my life. So, the first thing that I want to dive into is helping you identify whether or not you really do need to prioritize regulating your nervous system, or recognizing within yourself if your nervous system is actually dysregulated, because it can actually show up differently for other people than what we typically may perceive as a dysregulated nervous system. So, the first two that I'm going to talk about are some of the most obvious is someone who is very overstimulated or who gets overstimulated very, very easily, or anyone who considers themselves to be anxious or have anxiety. This is obviously a very clear indication that this person has some kind of, to some extent, dysregulated nervous system. The other person that this symptom is very, very obvious is someone who's very overly emotional in certain circumstances. So things may not be going right for them, and they may just kind of like freak out of nowhere, not really have any kind of control over their emotions when it comes to things happening to them. So, very overly emotional. Now, some of the other things that I want to share are somewhat, you could consider like hidden symptoms of an over or of a dysregulated nervous system, where especially in women may not realize how dysregulated their nervous system is, and just how it is just showing up for them maybe a little bit differently than what they perceive is a dysregulated nervous system, or just a nervous system that needs their attention and that needs work to help regulate. So, a very common symptom of this is someone who is very numb to their emotions and maybe numb to their body as well. So, thinking of someone who really suppresses their emotions. I have worked with clients that have come into my program specifically with this symptom, you could say, with their nervous system, where on the outside they may come across as someone who is very nice and genuine and kind and very happy. However, I've seen it with some women that although they come across this way, this is actually a symptom of suppression. So they're suppressing any kind of emotions. They're feeling the need to people please because their nervous system is dysregulated. And this is their way of coping from that dysregulation, of not allowing it to get out of control. This is how they cope with it. So if you are someone who is numb or suppresses your emotions, maybe you have a hard time expressing how you feel to people, maybe you feel like you're not very good at speaking up when you want to speak up, or when you need to speak up, to speak your needs, speak your feelings. This can feel very foreign to you. If you experience that, then this is a symptom or a sign that your nervous system is very dysregulated. This was actually a very common one for myself, where I suppressed a lot of what I was feeling. I didn't speak up when I wanted to speak up because I was always people pleasing and trying to make other people happy, putting other people's needs and wants before my own. So I was really suppressing a lot of my own needs. And over time, I was very, very numb to what I needed, what I wanted, because it was so ingrained in me to operate this way. Another clue that you have a dysregulated nervous system is if you are experiencing any kind of health issues. So, we're seeing this a lot more commonly in women who are experiencing autoimmune disorders, who are experiencing hormonal issues, or just like overall struggling with their hormone journey. Um, what's the other one that comes up? I can't think of the other one that I'm thinking of that is a very common health issue for women right at this time right now. But just in general, if you're experiencing any kind of confusing health issue, this is very, very commonly tied back to the nervous system. And I don't think a lot of people realize this, especially in modern medicine. We're not often looking at the nervous system when it comes to manifesting these health issues right now. But for a lot of women that I've worked with and just that I've seen in this type of work, when they begin healing and regulating their nervous system and prioritizing that, a lot of the times the health issues will go away or at least get better, because ultimately what's going on with these health issues is it's your body's way of really trying to get your attention. It is an extreme thing that's happening, but our body speaks a different language than our human brain. So it will do many things to grab our attention when things are off, when we're unaligned, when we're not prioritizing ourselves, aka our nervous system is freaking out because we're not prioritizing certain aspects of ourselves. So our energy can really start to be thrown off. We're seeing a lot of women really stuck in their masculine energy, and part of that is because of their nervous system. The two are correlated and have so much to do with our energy, where and why and what we feel safe. So oftentimes women will shift into their masculine energy because there's some aspect of their nervous system that does not feel safe. So they're all correlated, and for a lot of women, especially right now, we're seeing a lot of health issues arise in women that don't seem to have a lot of answers. They don't seem to have a lot of, well, we don't really know why this is happening. Um, and a lot of women are getting prescribed on, okay, well, this is the protocol for these types of health issues. But really, when you can go deeper and really work with your nervous system to figure out why you feel so unsafe, why you're so stuck in this survival state, it will naturally start to heal itself, because you have all of these systems kicked on for a long period of time and they're not wired and meant to do that. So, this is an extreme case of the nervous system being really dysregulated. But oftentimes, when you can heal this and regulate, this will naturally reduce the health issues that you may be experiencing. Now, I'm not a doctor, I'm not a medical professional, so this is just my own personal advice. So if you do need to work with a medical professional, obviously do so. Now, another way that you can recognize within yourself if your nervous system is dysregulated is if you are someone who always feels the need to be busy and stay productive. So it may feel really challenging for you to rest, to take time for yourself, to spend time doing things that actually bring you joy, that actually light you up, that allow you to tap into your creativity, where they don't necessarily need any kind of outcome to happen from them. For a lot of women, they struggle with this because they're so dysregulated that it feels unsafe to not be working on something, or to not be doing something, not be checking off their tasks list. This is, again, it's rooted in a feeling of lack of safety, a feeling of being in this survival mode. So you're finding things to make you feel more safe, make you feel more grounded, but understand that this is coming from a dysregulated state because you don't know how to regulate. So externally, you're trying to use other things to cope with that dysregulation. The other thing, obviously, if you struggle with sleep, this can be this can be brought back to the nervous system as well. I know anytime that I am feeling a little more dysregulated, when I try to sleep, my mind is thinking a lot and it's focusing on a lot of different things in my life, and this is a clear indication that my nervous system is feeling dysregulated. I'm feeling restless. If you're having a lot of energy in your head, there, aka overthinking, and you're not able to turn that part of you off, this means that you do need to sit with yourself and really find ways to ground yourself and not allow external things to control your nervous system, because ultimately someone with that kind of issue, they're feeling ungrounded in their external life, and that's why so many of the things in their life they're trying to control or manipulate or plan really in a detailed way, because it gives them some sense of grounding, which in turn helps the nervous system like think it's safe, but really external things, trying to use external things to feel grounded, is a recipe for failure and disaster, because we ultimately can't control external things. So that's what's going on there. Now, the last thing that I put on here is if you're experiencing any kind of pain, um, chronically, or even if you wake up one morning and you randomly have pain in your back out of nowhere, like maybe you didn't really do anything and you're wondering, how did this pain, like, why am I even experiencing this pain? This can also be something tied back to your nervous system. Your nervous system may be feeling dysregulated. And again, the body has different ways of communicating with us to tell us that it needs our attention. And one of those ways to communicate with us is through pain. Now, something that I teach my clients and I do myself is being able to give your pain a voice, and really hearing and listening to what it has to tell you. And oftentimes we may experience pain in a certain area of the body, and what we know through somatic knowledge and education and somatic practices is there are certain areas of the body that actually symbolize certain things in our life. So, for example, if you are experiencing low back pain, that is often tied back to our sense of safety in the world and feeling um, just like feeling secure in our world. So, if you often manifest pain in your low back for no reason, obviously there's a reason, but this is your body's way of communicating with you that you may be holding on to some kind of subconscious belief that is fear based, and it's really disrupting your nervous system by still holding on to this belief. So your body's saying, hey, like, we've got this belief that's really causing a lot of chaos in our life, it's really causing a lot of dysregulation. Is there something we can do about this? Can we address this? And that's where a lot of the work that I serve and help my clients with comes into play. So if any of those resonated for you, then you know that you may need to do some nervous system regulation and work. Now, I'm going to give you a few ways that you can start to regulate your nervous system starting literally today. And this is also what I teach my clients to do in the beginning when they're learning the foundations of nervous system regulation. So, the first thing that you can get started in doing is setting an alarm This is going to sound crazy, but setting an alarm for every hour of your day to actually check in with how your nervous system and your body feels. If you are someone who is really good at suppressing your emotions, you feel numb to your emotions, or even if you have a lot of pain, this is going to take some time and work to really drop into the body, because essentially, for someone experiencing those types of symptoms, they've done a really good job at kind of like cutting off the line of communication of their body. So they're living very much in the mental plane and just from the mind, and not, again, not really tuned in with the body. So this is a really great practice if any of those symptoms are something you experience, because it's going to start teaching your mind and body how to start deepening their connection again and that line of communication. You want to have a really strong line of communication between your mind and body and really understand the language of your own body when it is trying to tell you something, because our body holds a lot of wisdom and knowledge. But again, we were never taught to learn that language of our body and learn its communication, ways it communicates with us in its own unique way. So, this is naturally going to start to help you learn how to restore that connection between the mind and body in the very beginning. And when you set that alarm, really dropping into your body, your nervous system, and checking in with how you feel, maybe rating it on a scale from 0 to 10. This is something I dive deeper into, of understanding this scale a little bit more in depth, of where your nervous system may be sitting, because for a lot of people who are numb, who have suppressed, they will actually perceive the way that they feel, their nervous system, for being in a calmer state than what it actually is, because that has become their new baseline. So it can actually trick the mind in a way and make you believe that you're more regulated than you actually are, because you don't actually know what regulated feels like feels like, deeply feels like. So there is a difference in that, and there is a learning process of really tuning in and being able to drop into your body in a deep way. The next thing that you can start to do, so this goes hand in hand with that one, is practicing tuning into the body. So if you do have chronic pain, this could be a really good one for you, where you actually take time, like out of your day, to sit with your pain and actually start having a conversation with it and asking what it is trying to tell you. And if you just allow yourself to journal what comes up, you might be surprised in what it is trying to communicate with you, that maybe you've been like looking for this answer for a really long time, or maybe it's like the epiphany that you have been needing to have in your life that's going to change and shift everything. So being able to actually set aside time to practice tuning into your body. um, for some people, again, they're very living in the mental plane, so they overthink a lot. They're constantly in their head about literally everything. They need to practice tuning into their body, because you've got a lot of energy up here, and that's like an imbalance within your energy body system. This is something that is taught in different somatic work, but we have different energy bodies, different energy channels within our body that, um, when they're all healed and flowing properly, they can flow very easily and things are very aligned. But if you're very dysregulated, it is very likely that you may have some energy channels within you that are clogged, that aren't flowing properly, that have stuck energy. So, the more you can get in tune with what that feels like for you, the more you'll be able to recognize when you do need to move the energy so that you can restore the flow within it. The third thing that you can do is identify your intention behind everything that you do. So this is really great for someone who is they always need to be busy, they need to stay productive, they're doing all of the time. Start to ask yourself when you feel like you need to do something, or even when you mindlessly grab your phone or you're mindlessly doing something, can you catch yourself when you're doing something just to do it, and asking yourself, what is the intention behind what I'm doing? And if you can't really come up with a good answer, it is very likely you are doing it out of a dysregulated state. It is a disempowered state. Your nervous system is trying to find a way to feel some sense of regulation. And it'll often do this for these people who struggle with this specifically because they are so dysregulated. Their nervous system has learned a way to subside this dysregulated feeling by taking action on more and more stuff. So if that is you, can you catch yourself and can you identify the intention behind it? Oftentimes, if it is a fear based intention where maybe it's like, I need to do this because I need to get it done because X, Y, and Z will happen, that's a very fear based, very disempowered intention and reason for doing something versus doing something out of joy. So at the end of the day, the thing that you're doing, is it fear based or is it joy based? Asking yourself those questions. Your energy will always give you clues. The last thing that you can start to do is slow down in your life. And I know that that sounds cliche, but slow down in the things that you wouldn't think to slow down in. For example, how fast do you eat your meals? How fast do you walk from one end of the office to the other end of the office at work? How fast are you trying to get from point A to point B when you are driving? Can you recognize in your autopilot moments, can you go slower and actually sit with that slowness and just allow yourself to sit in maybe that uncomfortable feeling? I know that this can feel uncomfortable for a lot of people when they're so used to like go, like I have no time to waste. But again, this is an indicator that your nervous system is dysregulated, and if it is driving you to move faster in everything that you do, one of the ways to train your nervous system out of that is to start slowing down in the things that don't really matter, but they may feel a little uncomfortable slowing down in them. But these are really great practices to start to implement to start to take back the reins on your nervous system. So, can you start practicing eating slower and driving slower and walking slower and other things in your life and finding enjoyment in them? I started eating slower in with my meals, and I actually enjoy my meal a lot more because I'm taking the time to enjoy it and sit with it and be present with it versus just hurrying and eating and like not even thinking about the food that I'm eating. So, I hope that these are helpful for you if you are if you're new to nervous system regulation, or if you've been learning a lot about the nervous system and you're just trying to find ways to get even better at it. This is definitely the channel to follow and subscribe because we talk so much about energy, healing your energy, whether it's like talking about masculine and feminine energy, regulating your nervous system, and really just unlocking your purpose in life and being really in tune with that. If you want to learn more about regulating your nervous system, not just regulating to feel safe and getting it out of survival, which is most people's goal in the beginning, but if you want to learn how to regulate your nervous system beyond that, regulating your nervous system to hold more abundance in your life, because there is a difference between just regulating to get out of survival versus regulating to have an expansive, joyous, amazing, incredible, abundant life. You can simultaneously regulate for both if that is something that you want more of in your life. And odds are, if you're an ambitious, driven woman who is on a growth journey, then this is something that your soul has probably led you to because you crave more of that, but you really need to learn how to get out of um, survival first. So, if that is something you want to learn more about, then definitely check out the next video.